Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Follow the leader.
Oh my God.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Run, girl, I'm trying to get your body wet. Work that, let me see your drip sweat. Run, girl, I'm trying to get your body wet. Work that, let me see your drip sweat. Don't play with me, don't play with me, don't play with me, don't play with me, don't play with me. Work them hips, run, girl. Touching your body like you want some, girl. Work it like your boy just bought you a pearl. I wanna see you run in the middle of the dance floor. Your man ain't broke, what you think your finger made for? And I'ma beat it on up. You get it enough in the mic, get up. Lick it like a peppermint swirl. Work them hips, run, girl.
You already know what time it is. Welcome in to KBLA Talk 1580, your front row seat to the culture. It is Jill Munroe, and tonight we're getting into some serious conversation, some relationship conversation, some love conversation, and some life conversation here on your entertainment news update. So tonight we're talking David Banner. And he's always on theme. Shout out to that. When's the last time you heard some David Banner? We're all on David Banner actor now, right? Right. David Banner is currently starring on the BET Plus series, The Family Business New Orleans. And recently, he talked about now that he's 50, he's finally ready to make that commitment and walk down the aisle. And he received some backlash. But he explained why he's come to that conclusion now. So we're going to get into that and, get your thoughts on it. See what you're saying. Because, the internets were letting him have it saying, oh, now that he's 50, now he wants to settle down. So we're going to talk about that. Dawn Robinson, formerly of En Vogue and Lucy Pearl, she's recently come out on her social media and announced that she's living in her car. So we're going to get into what Dawn had to say led to this decision, and how does someone that at one point was at the height of their career in music end up living in their car. And also, we got some interviews for you guys tonight. We got some inside scoop. Godfather of Harlem season 4 is dropping next month, April 13th. And there's some new people in the mix, some new characters. So we're going to be checking out an interview with two of them and getting you, the advanced details, because that's what we do here. We, get you a little bit closer to the action. But before we dive into all of that, I like to start the night off with a little conversation starters, some things you need to be in the know about, but we're not going to get into the whole thing right now, right? So I got a question for you guys. Andy, I already know your answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway. And, of course, the chat, because, as always, the YouTube chat is bustling. If you want to jump in, hit that up. And, of course, get ready, 800-920-1580, if you want to add in your commentary in any of this conversation. So the question I want to know is, what do you guys feel about open relationships? We've had Nick Cannon and all of his kids. Neo continues to let us know how his situation works in his household. He's 7 days on with each of the 3 girlfriends that he currently has. They each get a week, and then they all get together at the end of that time period and hang out, and then it starts all over again. And then, now, to the mix, Shaquille O'Neal apparently is about that poly lifestyle, right? So Just Hilarious revealed, and I really hope that she talked this over with Shaq before she decided to share all this information with the world. But she shared it, and, it's trending. So what are we going to do? We're going to hit those headlines. She shared that Shaq has 4 women that currently live with him. One of them was cleaning. One of them was in the kitchen. One was chilling. She said 2 were bad. 2 are on their way to their status. she did include a race of the young ladies. I'll let you guys guess what it is. And, Andy says, you don't think that they're black? Why? Neo's girls are all black. So we can boot that theory out of the window.
I'm sure it's a mixed breed.
They're white, actually,
I
according
figured
to
that.
Jess.
I'm not surprised.
According to Jess. But, it's a lot happening. I bring this up in contrast to what we're going to talk about with David Banner, because relationships, the roles in relationships, gender roles, when relationship starts, what constitutes a relationship, those things are changing, right? So we are watching a whole new sort of structure as far as relationships go be birthed. And, just want to get into a little bit of those details. Andy, you look like you got something to add.
No, I'm just curious. You said that you know what my answer is. So I'm just
No,
curious
because
to know.
you're in a committed relationship.
I am.
And you said that you want that to be the last relationship that you were in.
100%.
So my assumption,
Yeah.
and you never should assume, but my assumption is that that's not a lifestyle that you would be interested in.
At one point, I was open to it.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess most men would be, but
At a younger age, though, like in my 20s for sure. But that's more like fantasy thought.
right, because the reality.
Yeah.
Listen, when we come forward, we're going to get more into these trending topics and headlines. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Your ride with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Diane from Michigan, a disabled senior citizen trying to get by. Henry from Florida, a veteran fighting to make ends meet. Elena from Arizona, a mother struggling to feed her daughter. Hi, I'm Connie Britton, and I support Feeding America because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year, like Diane, Henry, and Elena. Learn more at feedingamerica.org. Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
Are you facing an unexpected financial emergency? You need WeFixMoney.com. WeFixMoney.com could help you get up to $3,000 fast. WeFixMoney.com is free to use, available 24/7, and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Go to the name you trust, WeFixMoney.com. If you need emergency cash up to $3,000 for bills or anything else, type WeFixMoney.com directly in your browser. That's WeFixMoney.com.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T.
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ROCK to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text ROCK to 42424. That's ROCK to 42424.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580 for your entertainment news update. Now, before I get into this David Banner story, let me share some good news with you. Black Beauty in Black fans, that's Tyler Perry's latest series that is on Netflix. So last week, part 2 of season 1 dropped, and it's just been announced that it's been renewed for season 2. It was burning up the Netflix charts. We talk about a lot of times about the shows that are being canceled from the different services and the streaming things, but Tyler Perry continues to roll on. So, fans are going to be waiting on the edge of their seats, just as they do, to lock into what TP has going on. So, congrats to them. All right, let's get into it. David Banner, rapper, activist, actor, thriving businessman. He says he's finally ready to settle down at 50 years old, right? And he dropped the news recently. And of course, the internets, the streets are saying, yeah, but you're 50. You want to settle down now after you've run through all the women, had all of the fun. Now you're all dry, washed up. They didn't say all of that. They said some of it, though. They said some of it. They alluded to that. And, basically they don't understand why he waited so long to settle down, right? Well, he clapped back, and his response, I think, was a very mature one. And why earlier when I was talking about these poly relationships that seem to be populating the conversation more and more, I wonder if some of this is affecting that. So what David Banner said is that, what do women want? We want someone who is successful, and we want someone who is going to spend time with us. And he said those two things do not go together for an ambitious, successful man, because a successful man does not have time for a wife, a woman. He said people think that he's just started acting. He said he has 38 films to his credit. He's also produced a bunch of hits for different people and, his own career. He's also an activist. He said, where in there is there time for a wife and kids? The wife would be talking about that she was neglected, that he wasn't being a good husband. His child would miss out on lots of opportunity. And therefore, he thinks people are being foolish, one, for speaking on what he has going on, and two, for trying to advocate for, what he deems what women want, a successful man, to be able to give that time into a relationship with the type of schedule he has. And I think that's fair. If you are being honest with everyone and everyone agrees, then move forward. The problem comes in when people want to mess with other people's reality. They want to change stuff up. They don't want to be honest. And I think that's where a lot of people get mad. Although I'm sure there's some woman that's sitting around saying, I gave the best 5 years to David Banner thinking I was going to get a ring or something like that. That always happens. Sometimes people misread cues and things like that. But I do think that as much as we talk about balance, we strive for it. But it's the idea of balance between work and career and family and working out and your mental breaks that you need to take. Is all of that realistic? Are they all going to be in harmony at the same time? It's really hard to do, right? It's really hard to do. So, I think that there is something to it, but we'll have to see. He was very hostile, though, towards the people that are questioning his choices, because he said he's thought about it. He's thought about it well. And if he had all the time in the world for a woman, which we've heard this before, then he wouldn't be working on his game. He wouldn't be successful, because if he had that much free time, he's not working on the success part. Andy?
The criticism is majority coming from women, correct?
Probably.
I don't expect any man like, yo, what's wrong with you?
Nah. I mean, they only ask women that question. Yeah. It's okay for men to be single to 50. They only ask women.
I just see an individual who is practicing responsibility, understanding that, if I'm going to enter into a relationship, I want to come correct, right? I want to bring value and bring something to the table for the most part. You can't knock an ambitious man for wanting to work. I don't see any criticism. I mean, hell, as men, we age like fine wine, right? You know what I'm saying? We get better with age, right?
I mean, so the
50
story goes.
I'm just
men
saying.
men don't get older; they get distinguished. Women
Absolutely.
get old. I don't think that is the case in 2025.
I'm with
but
you,
that
Jill.
would
I'm with
be
you on that.
what some people say.
But just for people to say that he's too old to want to settle down at 50.
They're saying that because there is a thing, right? I don't know if you've heard of it, but there is a thing called, I might be messing up the name, but basically it references a caregiver wife. So a man that is in his 50s, 60s, breaking down health-wise, knows that, men that are married tend to live longer. Why? Because they have a wife there that is making sure they go to the doctor, helping with all of those things. So as these former playboys get into their elder advanced years and look around and realize, I might need some help in this era. It is alleged that some take a wife in anticipation that, they might get sickly or they are sickly and they need someone who is going to take care of them in their latter years.
Well, the David Banner that I know, he looks very healthy. And if I'm not mistaken, he's very focused on his
I'm not
health.
saying that is David Banner's thing.
Okay.
No. I'm not saying that is David Banner's thing. I'm saying that is what some of the argument is about. Men are waiting because they want to be a player. They want to be in the streets, la, 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 la. And then when they get older, then they're looking for someone to take care of them into their golden years.
Interesting. Women are kind of like that similarly too, right? I know it's completely different, but, you deal with all the bad boys. And then now you 50 yourself. And now you want to go ahead and get with that church boy. You want to get with that good guy now.
Do women wait to 50 to do that?
I don't know.
I mean, I think everyone goes through phases when they might want something that is a little on the dangerous side or edgy or something different, just to see if maybe they like it, But because there's the thing. Look, here's the thing, though. Right? It is always this illusion of this idea that there's this humble young man that is a good guy that is just being passed over time and time again for these wretched, bad men, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not all of the good guys are good guys just because you say you're a
Jill,
good guy.
No. We know what's good. We know what's bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every good person has quote unquote bad tendencies. Maybe that church boy wants to be a little ratchet from time to time, but that doesn't take away his goodness. You know what I'm saying? Let's not do that.
Okay. So the chat, they have a lot to say, as always. HW says that's the vast majority of people out there. They are outliers. Shannon Thompson says, the question is, will he settle down with someone his age or half his age? That's a valid question, too, because, he may not want his golden girl equal. He might want, a young millennial baddie that's 32 or something like that. I mean, it's just...
Let's put some more positivity out there.
Yeah.
We already just thinking he about to go ahead and date a 25-year-old. Like, come on.
I'm not saying it. That's what the chat said.
You're right.
I'm just, relaying the information. Let's see. What else is going on there? I saw someone say, Morris Phillips says, I don't want to be a player no more. And Urban Spencer said, the Eastie dudes were the ones who hollered at me, not the nerds. And I think that's a thing too, right? Because sometimes, especially currently where it seems that it's harder for guys and girls to communicate. Back in the day, sometimes people may not have spoken up to who they like because they might have been intimidated or think, they're not their type or something like that. I always question, the nerd guys like Donald Glover, who's like, black women didn't like me. They didn't talk to me because I was a nerd and I like games. And I feel like there was a nerdy gamer black girl that probably would have loved him, but he was going for the girl that liked the basketball player or the bad boy. And sometimes you got to look at what you're aligning with and recognize too, sometimes that doesn't match up either. So there's all types of different things. Point being, the nature of relationships, how they come together, what defines a relationship, and even the period of time that supports them is changing greatly. We're seeing adjustments, we're seeing changes. And, some people still hold on to the old school values. Look at Zoe. Zoe Williams is out there. I am treading in his area. He probably needs to come in and weigh on this. I don't know. This is just what these entertainers are talking about, from polyamory to marrying later,
And that's the thing, like with polyamory on the rise that you hear from celebrities, you have an individual who sounds like he wants a monogamous relationship.
And a rational response,
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it sounds like he did the responsible thing by, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and have my fun, right? Now I want to settle down. Why are we criticizing this?
I mean,
he's 50?
You know what? I think part of it, too, though, is because, right, the other side to that is if it was a woman saying that, people wouldn't like it. They would look at it a different way, and they would judge her for that.
A woman wanting to settle down later?
Yeah, a little bit. If she was kind of like, I was busy, I was doing my thing, I didn't Look how often people wonder why, certain celebrities like Tracee Ellis Ross, let's take her for example. People are always like, why isn't she married? Why doesn't she have any children?
Great question.
What's going on with her? Tracee's 52, right? Ambitious. Had a career similar to David Banner, and that conversation, she's talked about it, follows her. So I think that sometimes with women, because they're beat over the head so much that there's a time clock attached, not just biological, just in general, that their looks, their worth, whatever, expire at a certain age, and men don't have that same type of pressure in the same way.
Well, in the case of Tracee Ellis Ross, I don't think that's a problem that she has.
People still ask the question, though.
I mean, they asked the question, but you said like the look starts to diminish or whatnot.
No, I mean, listen. Let's talk about 72 and 71. Sanaa Lathan, Gabrielle Union, Regina Hall, Tracee Ellis Ross, Nia Long, all of those early 70s babies, right?
Yeah.
And, in various success of marriage, maybe once, maybe two, various things, right? All successful, all ambitious. So probably the same thing. But, it's just an interesting note. All right, shout out to David Banner. Now, this situation is sad, obviously heartbreaking. Dawn Robinson, she's one of the original members of En Vogue. And recently, she revealed that she's been living in her car. We're talking about a woman that was a part of one of the biggest female groups of all time, selling millions of records, topping the charts. Came back and did it again with Lucy Pearl, right? With Raphael Sadiq and Ali. And what happened? Dawn says she walked away from the industry on her own terms, but something clearly went wrong. We just saw En Vogue perform they have a member that has been in the group for at least 10 years now, and performed with them earlier. Her name is Ronish. They performed at the NBA All-Star Game during that whole segment where they had Sweetie and E40 and En Vogue perform, Oakland natives. So, En Vogue is still around doing things, but we know that they have had a complicated relationship. So, do we think record labels bear some of the responsibility sometimes for how these artists end up? Or is it just the downside of not planning things financially smart? Let's take a listen to a little bit of what Dawn had to say about living in her vehicle. She posted this.
You guys, for the past almost 3 years, I have been living in my car. I said it. Oh my God, it's out. I've been living in my car. Oh my gosh. If you remember, if you guys were with me, in 2020, I did like 105,000 interviews. And in the interim, I was living with my parents in Vegas. And that was wonderful until it wasn't. I love my mom, but she became very angry. And a lot of her anger, she was taking out on me, and I was her target all the time. And I was like, I can't deal with this. Like, I respect her too much. I didn't understand it. I still don't. And it hurt me. So I was just trying to figure it out, but I couldn't. You can't read someone else's mind. You can't figure them out. They got to figure themselves out. So I was like, let me get out of here.
So that's a little bit into what Dawn says went down. She said that a person was managing her, told her to move out to LA. Then when she got out here, they gave her the runaround, put her in a hotel, but then wouldn't come and look for apartments, et cetera, et cetera. And she said she feels a certain degree of freedom living in her car, but it's been very difficult. Now, the chat has a lot of varied opinions about this. Someone in the chat says that, they heard that Dawn was not a nice lady and could be problematic, but you don't wish homelessness on anyone. I think that was Trent, the artist. Van Varner says they performed without Dawn. They sure did. So, listen, they have come together, separated, and come back together again. And it has been alluded to that Dawn, at points, might have been difficult to work with, but that happens with all groups. So don't know if you can really make that distinction. We just hope that whatever's going on, she is safe and that there is some resolution for that time in her car. Sad. When we come forward, we're going to get more into more trending topics, more headlines. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580, News, Traffic, and Sports on the other side.
Don't be so shallow. So I'm a sister. Buy things with cash. That really doesn't mean that all my credit's bad. Oh, so I dispute me and waste my time because you really think the price is high for me. I can't look good without being watched to know you rang my mind before I made up my.
You're in the know with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Lauren Boebert is standing by her, quote, pimp cane, end quote, comment about African-American Rep. Al Green. In an interview, the Colorado Republican dismissed a censure resolution saying Green shouldn't have shaken his pimp cane at President Trump during his congressional address. Asheville, North Carolina must revise its action plan to receive federal aid. HUD Secretary Scott Turner, who was black, urged the city to remove diversity, equity, and inclusion, citing a section prioritizing women in minority-owned businesses. A new poll shows most Los Angeles residents are unhappy with Black Mayor Karen Bass's wildfire response. Less than 20% rate her handling as good, while 41% call it poor. And New Yorkers honored civil rights icon Hazel Dukes at a Harlem service. Governor Kathy Hochul, Hillary Clinton, and Black Mayor Eric Adams paid tribute to the longtime NAACP leader who passed away March 1st at 92. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Long Beach on the 405. This is making your way northbound coming up on Atlantic. That's a stalled car that we're getting reports of blocking the left lane. So let's see how it's treating the drive. North 405, it's going to be crowded getting away from Lakewood Boulevard. That southbound side of the 405, it looks pretty decent out of Long Beach from the 710 as you continue all the way into Orange County. We're also heading out to the drive in Irvine. This is the 5 northbound, looking good. We have delays ahead in Santa Ana at the 5722, better past Harbor in Anaheim, and slowing in both directions of the 15 in Ontario between the 60 and the 10.
Let Express Employment Professionals help you hire for contract or full-time jobs. Forget about recruiting, sifting through resumes, and interviews with unqualified applicants. Go to expresspros.com to find the location near you. That's expresspros.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Today's NBA players need to take a moment and do some research on a guy named Junior Bridgman, a former NBA player who was not a marquee attraction but became a billionaire after retiring in 1987. Bridgman passed away Tuesday after suffering an apparent heart attack at an event in Louisville. He was 71. Bridgman was the ultimate role model for athletes needing the right mindset to become solid businessmen. Bridgman never made more than $350,000 a season during his 12-year career with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Clippers, but he parlayed his money into an impressive financial empire. He bought over 450 Wendy's and Chili's franchises in 20 states. He bought Ebony and Jet magazines and owned Coca-Cola bottling franchises in the U.S. and Canada. There's a reason Bridgman's net worth was $1.4 billion. Junior Bridgman, an example of the American dream we need to be celebrating. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader. KBLA Talk 1580. Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Follow the leader. Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like it.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I get money, hustle, repeat. 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 Fentanyl is what the fiends want. You gotta die to get your streams up. Streets of your dreams up. I was ready for war, I got my cream up. They couldn't do nothing with me, they had to team up. Treat the shotty like Scotty, I had to beam up. I've done a lot and I've seen much.
Welcome back in. We're locked in with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. You know, Andy giving you a little bit of that audio Godfather of Harlem. That's from the soundtrack from season 3. As I told you, coming up, we have some interviews from season 4 that is premiering April 13th. I'll get into that in a second because not only do we have a caller holding, we have a lot of comments in the chat about this. Morris Phillips says, Don sounded at peace to me. Trent the artist says, it's messed up. Seriously, if more people were willing to help, more people would be willing to help when you're nice. Van Varner says, an almost 60-year-old woman living in her car for 3 years. I'm sorry, if I had that kind of personality that nobody liked, I would make sure I have plenty of money saved to be self-sufficient. Just saying. And let's see. There was one more that I saw that I thought was pretty insightful. Pretty Brown Mimi says, I recently heard that George Clinton is suing his former business partner, now Don Robinson, living in her car. What about her publishing rights, royalties? Show business is a tough business. A lot of times that is not the money that you think. TLC famously broke down how you could sell millions of albums and be broke, and what that split is. Dom was also in a group that I don't believe that they wrote either. I think Foster and McElroy, I believe those are the guys that produced them and initially put them together, were really in control of all of that. So I don't know if there was anything there for them in the idea of publishing royalties outside of the vocal aspect. Andy?
I wonder if there's legalities behind her actually performing, because my understanding is that that's where a lot of the artists kind of get their money, is from performing.
She probably can't perform under the name En Vogue, but she could use her name. But, you know, she said she had an issue with her manager, so there's a lot happening. HW says you kind of want to see a social safety net that would keep even a formerly wealthy person from hitting complete rock bottom. Well, we would.
I was going to say, too, wasn't she a part of En Vogue when they did Versus?
I think she came back for a little bit.
It was En Vogue versus Escape, right?
And then they fell out again. No, Escape was SWV.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
So En Vogue was not a part of Versus then.
I don't believe so.
Okay. I was just asking because I know Swizz Beatz, basically, if you were an artist and you was a part of Versus, you kind of owned a piece of it.
Yep.
So I was just like, where's her residuals on that? But
nope. She didn't do that. So let's hear what Eric from Carson has to say. Eric, thanks for tapping in. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How you doing, Jill?
I'm great.
I want to go in a slightly different direction.
Okay.
About Don. I'm in my mid-40s, and I have worked for the government, for the state, since I was 18, and I've worked my way up. And I've always had aspirations to be a singer, a celebrity, so I used to dibble and dabble and always go see television shows. And when you are a mainstream person, you always think that celebrities are rich and loaded and they just have everything going for themselves. I have a pension, I have a 401k, you know, and so that's my life. And I always thought, you know, if I was married to an entertainer, then I could be the one who provides the medical coverage and all of that thing. And then she could have the, you know, all the excitement, you know. And so, again, I have always thought of, I remember going to see En Vogue perform, and she was, to me, one of the better ones in the group, you know, as far as her singing abilities to me. So that being the case, I wonder if I have built up this hype in my mind about celebrity that is not really what it should be.
I think that most people do. I think that the money, the lifestyle that they lead seems very glamorous. On the outside, there's lots of aesthetics that are put together to make it look visually appealing so that it is marketed to the consumer. But the way that money is divvied up is tricky, and residuals, you know, owing your label, all of those things, you know, you have to pay for. You want the hottest producer? His tracks are $250,000 a beat. What you gonna do? Your budget's only $2 million, right? So that's what we have to deal with. Thank you for calling in, Eric. I appreciate you. So
thank you.
Prayers up to Don, man. You know, we hope she gets it together and things work out. So listen, I mentioned earlier, if you are a fan of Godfather of Harlem, I need you guys to buckle up and get ready because season 4 is coming in hot. And we have interviews with two of the guest stars from this upcoming season. We have Devin Kessler. She's starring as Afeni Shakur this season. And this was at a moment in Afeni's life when pre-Tupac, she was starting the Black Panthers, living in Harlem, and so there's some interaction that comes in there. And Michael Benjamin Washington, he is portraying the legendary James Baldwin. So we know Afeni was a powerhouse, right? And this season we're going to see her, kind of going head to head with the character of Bumpy Johnson that is portrayed by Forrest Whitaker. And meanwhile, James Baldwin is in Harlem post Malcolm X's assassination, and he is pushing for a change in the community, and the community is torn at the moment between violence and revolution. So I got a chance to talk to them, with my other job with EUR. So I wanted to share the interviews with you guys because this season, baby, they also have Rome Flynn joining. He's going to be playing Frank Lucas, and I'm going to be talking to him in a couple weeks. So I'll be sure to bring that here as well. So I talked to them about stepping into these historic roles, and trust me, you don't want to miss the conversation. It was insightful and, giving you a little tease of what is to come because, you know me, I keep you in the know. So when we come forward, that's what you have to look forward to. Thank you guys for locking in as always.
Your ride with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Fatherhood includes being present during pregnancy and beyond, supporting your partner, advocating for your baby, and ensuring a healthy birth. Black fathers play a key role in reducing maternal and infant health disparities, and your involvement starts during pregnancy. Join the free AIM Fatherhood program today and learn how to support your partner, advocate for your baby's health, and connect with other fathers committed to healthier births. Visit blackinfantsandfamilies.org/fatherhood to get started.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach? Transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal? Prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
One thank you. Yeah.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
1 in 3 children born today will get diabetes. This sad prediction by the Centers for Disease Control will come true if millions of Americans don't improve their lifestyles, especially by changing what they eat, how much they eat, and how active they are every day. Every 23 seconds, another American gets diabetes. Stop diabetes before it starts. To learn more, contact the American Diabetes Association or download our free diabetes education programs at learningaboutdiabetes.org.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
So getting to portray Afeni Shakur, who is obviously an important figure in history through the Black Panther Party and through hip hop, through her son Tupac, what were the elements to capture in your portrayal of her?
I'm sorry, you kind of broke up a little bit, but I want to make sure I heard. What were the elements?
That you wanted to capture in your portrayal of her.
Okay, good. I really wanted to capture how full of love she is for her community, for her people. I wanted to capture her vibrancy, her passion. In my own life, I have learned to love the word feisty. And she is and can be very, very feisty, but she's also incredibly direct. And that directness comes from an understanding that there is a purpose and we don't have that much time to achieve said purpose. And we've just got to be forward thinking, love centered, and go. Yeah.
So in season 4, we're seeing Bumpy deal with the rise of the Panther Party and, his contentions with it. So how does Afeni's activism intersect with Bumpy, and how do we get to see that play out on screen? So to speak?
We get to see it with Elise. That's like the common or the core thread, I'd say. And I don't want to spoil too much, but it's really exciting to see how the social demands of the time impact each character's understanding of themselves and what the responsibility is, and not just their family unit, but the overall community, like how it really affects what their actions really affect.
So what was it like working with Forrest as a scene partner?
Oh man, I didn't get a chance to work with Forrest in this season. Hopefully crossing fingers next. But it was nice to watch him. He is such a tour de force. I would sneak into, well, not really sneak. I'd ask permission and they'd give me permission. But I'd watch some of the rehearsals and some of the shoots, and it's just such a blessing to watch someone who's just a master at his craft. Just watching him take in all of the details and really just tell a story with great care and reverence. I
love that. So obviously this story takes place, I think 5-6 years prior to Tupac being an entity life. But what do you feel the seeds of Afeni's activism that we later see in Tupac are, that we get to see through this version of her?
You get to see, I love that you said seeds, because they really are seeds being planted, because we don't get Tupac without Afeni's dedication to bettering her community. So here we're seeing the roots of how she engaged with Harlem, of how she began to understand what was truly needed, how she began to influence her circle around her with literature and music. We're getting to see how she takes charge, and that understanding of a leader she passes on to Tupac, and that the love she has for literature she passes on to Tupac. And it's all exciting to see being developed here.
So dealing with today's current political climate, what do you think the audience can learn about activism and activating yourself through Afeni in this particular moment of her life?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think the thing that I learned, and the thing that I want to say that Afeni would also pass on, is that you have to be love-centered. A lot of things are fear-driven, and you can read in texts across multiple religions, cultures, that how people engage with fear and use it as a motivator, and how it often leads to a dead end or a repeated cycle. But when you break that cycle with love and faith and understanding and openness, a lot more can be done, and a lot more can be faced, and a lot more truth can be let in. And that, it seems so utopian, but it actually, time and time again, the more you lead with love, the more you get in the end.
I love, makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Really liking it. So speaking of, and in wrapping up, without any spoilers, what is your favorite scene that you feel crystallizes or sort of capsulizes your appearance as Afeni this season?
Oh, I love that question. Oh, I can't. I know the scene. I just thought about it, but I can't say.
Episode, maybe? Episode. How about?
I will say that it comes. No, I can't say that either. Oh, y'all, I'm let that Spider-Man. He's telling spoilers. I will say, I think it's in episode 6, 5 or 6. So hold on tight in the season.
Okay. And that we will get that.
You will. You'll see it immediately.
And we'll know exactly
that's what she was talking about.
Amazing. Well, Devin, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on the role.
Thank you so much.
Starting off, we know that James Baldwin is a literary giant, right? And he's a fearless advocate for civil rights and identity politics. So how did you approach capturing such a unique and dynamic figure?
Well, lucky for me, everything has been on the page, and everything was written on the page by Mr. Baldwin. So I read about 5 of his books when I got the job, and read them throughout and heard the interviews. But everything that was on the page for this season 4, Chris Brancato and his team really got at the heart of making this accountability to the community theme happening. And I really tried to lock into the importance of what that was instead of any mimicry or any, playing as James Baldwin. It was to ask the questions that he was asking and wait for the answer. They gave me 2 incredible scene partners, the great Forrest Whitaker and the radiant Afeni Shakur, who I just adore. So it was easy in that regard.
So, James Baldwin had obviously a unique connection to Harlem, but he also equally had a connection to France. So, story, these scenes, how do you think he balances that, love that he found overseas away from this core place that meant so much to him through the.
Well, I think anytime you escape a place and you come back changed and different. And every time he came back, he brought something nurturing with him. Part of that was an indomitable spirit of community, of togetherness, of taking care of your neighbor, which he grew up with, thanks to his mother and his very large family that he always took care of. But in this season, he's very much interested in figuring out how to piece together the community again and making sure that the wreckage, that the violence that we've known for 3 seasons doesn't take down the entire village, but that there is something being planted inside of that soil that's going to grow again through words, through concept, through just redirection of intention for Bumpy Johnson. So that became like my major focus of how to play him. It's just tell the story that's on the page.
So those 2 are polar opposites, one with force, one with words. So what was that interaction like, not only on screen, but off the screen, interacting with Forrest and developing that chemistry?
Okay, well, I had to try really hard not to fanboy out on him. And every time we cut, I just when you were doing Edie Amon, when you were directing Sandra Bullock and Hope Floats, when I was just watching Waiting to Exhale again last night, and knowing that how prolific he is as an actor and as a director, it was so important to me to keep a little bit of that in James Baldwin so that he was still intimidated by this figure in Harlem, where James Baldwin, I don't think, was intimidated by too many people. But for the relationship on screen, it had to be that that. And he's so open, so warm, so giving, was there for all my coverage. You know, when I'm doing a 2-page monologue, he's just sitting right there in an air-conditioned basement, letting me do it for the 16th time. You know, he was so incredibly giving. And that relationship is what I think these men and so many men and women had in Harlem in the 60s. This mutual respect, even though we're coming from very different points of view.
So you mentioned mutual respect, and we're in a time where, you know, that sort of mutual respect for the base purpose seems to be lost. How do you think that juxtaposes with what we see on screen, with what we're currently feeling, and sort of playing off of that?
The juxtaposition of say that one more time.
The juxtaposition of what we're currently experiencing in real time in America and what we see on this screen is a time where we experience something they're obviously being handled slightly.
Well, what's wonderful about television, the theater, and, you know, and film is you're getting to watch conversations unfold. And I keep reiterating how important asking the question is versus getting the answer, and watching people discuss issues in a way that we don't do today would be very helpful to remember. You know, two sides have to come together to make a scene, and there's conflict in there. And two people have to come together to try to work out a problem. And we've kind of gotten out of talking through things. We've gotten shouting or cutting off. And if people shouted or cut it off in the 60s, I'm thinking about all the stuff that started in the 20s in the Harlem Renaissance, where we had that community. Then it kind of fell away. Then it came back in the 60s. Then it fell away. How do we get it back again is by talking to each other and knowing that we're coming from two different points of view.
Love that. So in the series, we know that Malcolm X's assassination is looming over these events. How do you think knowing that and obviously what is unfolded shaped Baldwin's perspective at this time?
Well, his great relationship with Malcolm X, James Baldwin and Malcolm X were friends. Again, two polar opposite people who knew how to sit and share a meal and discuss life events. It rocked him incredibly because we were losing another literary another brilliant political, influential mind in Harlem, and through violence and to violence. And I think Jimmy Baldwin understood that unless we cap the violence in 1966 and 7, which season 4 is, you're going to lose a generation. And I think his intention is to figure out how do we have accountability with this wreckage. And figure out how to stop it if we want the children to have some idea of how to hope and succeed.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Maui Police Chief John Pelletier is denying any ties to Sean Diddy Combs after being named in a lawsuit. He rejected the mayor's call for leave, calling it premature and unjust. Pelletier says claims of his role in a crime are completely false. North Carolina Senate has passed a bill to eliminate DEI programs